What's up, everyone? You're listening to the RAS Project. My name is Ivan Temelkov, and I'm your host. On this podcast, we discuss entrepreneurship, personal development, family, tech, and marketing. Why in the fuck should you listen to this podcast? This podcast is for those of you who are looking for life-changing advice and ways to thrive digitally with your business. As always, all content is 100% real, raw, and unfiltered, and I wouldn't have it any other fucking way. Woo! What a week it has been. What can I say? It's been a roller coaster just this past week alone, but you know what? It's no different than any other fucking week, especially as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a husband. Literally, it feels like every day the sky is falling down, kind of the norm. And in fact, this is one of the things that I want to talk about on this podcast. I want to talk about steps that you must take if you're seeking to make more money and build your fucking empire. And if you're listening to this podcast, I can almost guarantee you that those of you that are listening right now are curious in knowing, how do I make more money? How can I build my empire? Especially amidst of all this coronavirus thing, which I'm going to be quite honest with you, with everything that I've been hearing, we're not even in the neck of the woods of this thing. And personally, I like to be an optimist. I like to be positive. Honestly, I think that believing that great things will happen is important to have that level of abundance in your life in order to be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in your life, in your business, and whatever you do, quite frankly. So let's talk about this, okay? What should you do if you want to make more money and build an empire? So it's simple. The very first thing you have to understand is mindset matters, okay? And it's not just that mindset matters, but mindset is everything. The way you think about things has a huge correlation to the way that you're going to act on things. It's quite simple, right? It's what you've got going up here in your fucking head is what you're going to end up executing upon. So if you think that the worst is going to happen, chances are the worst will happen. There's just something about the manifestation in the universe and the way that shit just really pans out. If you keep thinking negative thoughts, negative things are going to happen. If you keep thinking positive thoughts and be optimistic, regardless of the circumstances, in fact, even when things get the hardest, I can guarantee you the positive outcome will happen. I'm proof of it, and that's why I'm telling you this. It's because I've had a lot of adversity in my life. A lot of it has been financial. I've had relationship adversity. I've talked about this in the past. I'm not going to talk about it in this episode because I want to tell you about making more money and building your empire the way that I have done it. And those of you that know me personally, especially, will know that I have busted my fucking ass to get to where I'm at today. And I want to share those tips with you. You can make more money. You can build your empire. But you're going to have to understand that what you think, what's up here in your fucking head, matters. If you think negative thoughts, negativity will pan out. If you keep thinking positive thoughts, good things will happen. It's simple. But it's not that simple to think positively and optimistically, okay? Because so many people, especially now with this coronavirus thing, are so intertwined in what is the media talking about, right? They're so focused on everything else, and they're not focused on themselves. Please understand, you need to be focused on yourself. Now more than ever, this is a big test. Adversity is a test. It's testing you. It's testing you to see if you're worth it. It's testing you to see if you have the level of resilience it takes to make more money, to build an empire. You know, I talked to someone this past weekend, and they were like, oh, I want to make more money. I want to build an empire. I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, all right, let's talk tomorrow. Let's get on a phone call. I think we might have some opportunities. Excuse me. I might have some opportunities with my business to help you because they're struggling at the moment. So they're hungry, or they said. Couldn't even fucking return a phone call. Couldn't even fucking text. And I talked to this person on the phone, and you're hearing them say, I'm hungry. I want to make more money. I want to build an empire. You're not fucking hungry. You can't even fucking follow up on something very simple, let alone you want to make more fucking money. You want to build an empire. You don't have the fucking discipline. Okay. And that all comes through here in your mind, the way you think, the way you react, because you're so distracted with everything else. You're so stressed. You're so anxious with what's happening. So please understand that you have to have a clear mind. You got to be focused. You've got to be committed. Okay? Commitment is an extremely important thing. Honestly, the bullshit in social media right now is aggravating the fuck out of me, because everybody's talking about how committed they are. But honestly, not even 1%, probably less than 1% of people I encounter every single day on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, even on YouTube, which is all the platforms that you can find all my content, this content. Obviously, Apple iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher. This is where you can also find this particular podcast. But honestly, people all talk. I hate to say it. I don't care if you find this degrading, but the reality of things is the vast majority of people are all talk. They're unwilling to commit. You know what commitment looks like? Commitment looks like, so every weekend, I'm supposed to be spending time with my family, with my wife, and with my kids. Do you know what I spend every weekend doing? Is fucking doing work. Whether it's on Friday night at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. Most nights I don't go to bed until at least midnight. And on weekends, when I wake up, depending on when I wake up, until the time that I go to bed, I'm literally fucking glued to my phone. And I'm working, or I'm glued to my laptop. That's fucking commitment. You know what? I get criticized by it. I do. Absolutely I do. But it comes down to, how committed are you? What are you willing to do for what you want to accomplish? You want to make more money? You want to build an empire? I'm going to tell you this. The billionaires that I have met, the millionaires that I know, they work their fucking ass off, regardless of the type of life that they have. Some of them have kids. Some of them have wives. Some don't. Please don't give me those fucking excuses, honestly. And that's exactly what everybody in social media is doing. You're not committed. You're not. You don't understand that to be committed is that you've got to be resilient also. Resilient. Like, so what? It's the fucking weekend. What are you going to do? Yeah, I like to spend time with family. I set time aside with family. I try to create it like appointments. I like to get on my bike and cycle 20, 30, 40, 50 miles. It's not all work, but you got to understand that you got to have a stronger level of commitment than the person next to you. Because I guarantee you that they're outworking you, because they're far more committed than you are. That's another thing you got to keep in mind if you want to make more money and you want to build that empire. And honestly, one thing that I'm just not seeing too is willpower. You know, there's so many people that I have in my social media feed that talk about, oh, I'm doing this and that, and it's all wishful thinking. Literally, it's fabricated messaging aimed to sway those who are easily swayed. I'm not easily swayed. You know, I'm a very relatable person. I'm very social, but I don't relate to probably 99% of the people. I just don't. Because I'm far more committed, I'm far more dedicated, I'm far more resilient. I have no room for bullshit. I've got no room for negativity. Literally, like zero. I have zero expectations from anyone or anything out there. I just fucking do and execute as much as I can until I fall flat on my face. I mean, here's a prime example is if you've seen my video about, and I got criticized about this too, by the way. This is what doing work looks like. It's on my Facebook profile, and I think I posted it on my business page as well. But, and it was on IGTV as well. It was me doing 100 push-ups, 50 air squats, and 30 chair dips in 45 minutes. And you know what? For 3 days, I could move. It felt like a fucking semi ran my ass over. But you know what? After talking to my trainer, he said, dude, that's what you call progress, man. the fact that you fell flat on your face after doing so much hard work. And honestly, it's supposed to be a 5-day challenge, but I couldn't do it the following day. Seriously, I felt like my rib cage got dislocated, and I literally was walking around like I just shit my pants. And the last thing I wanted to do is do another set of 100 push-ups, 50 air squats, and 30 chair dips. But here's the thing. I'm going for round 2 and round 3 and round 4 and so on and so forth. And in fact, this might even become a daily thing as part of my in-home exercise routine, since I can't go to the fucking gym for God knows how long. I think the gyms are now closed for like 30 days. So that is what I'm talking about. Are you resilient enough? Are you committed? Do you have the willpower? Everything that I just told you is 100% applicable to how it's going to help you make more money and build an empire. You know what? Every successful person that I know that has made a shit ton of money or has built an empire, they are so fucking hyper-focused with their routines, with everything in their life. It's like fucking clockwork. It's unbelievable. Like, robots and AI don't have shit on those people. They're so hyper-focused, and that's what you need to be. And all these things that I'm talking about, commitment, having clear goals and objectives, being resilient, willpower, and undivided attention. Literally. I get distracted all the time. I mean, you have no fucking idea of the shit that's on my plate every single day. I have 3 or 4 full-time jobs, believe it or not. I have to be a husband. That's a full-time job. I have to be a father. That's a full-time job. I have to be an entrepreneur. That is a full-time job. I have to be a son to my parents. I still need to retain some of a relationship with my parents. I'm an uncle. Also, I have 2 nieces who I barely get to spend time in. That's 5 full-time fucking jobs. And you know what? I'll be lucky if I can do one of those right. Because if you ask me, the whole work-life balance thing, that's bullshit. But what I'm trying to emphasize to you is that just do your best. Always try to level up, no matter what. You can make more money. And honestly, now, during this time, this is a prime opportunity, because if you know anything about making money, you probably know that where there's a problem, there's an opportunity. There's a lot of problems right now in the world with coronavirus and small businesses struggling, local businesses. You can be that solution. But you have to want to do it. Nobody is going to push you to do it. Nobody. You can hear all the motivation and inspiration from me and others on the internet, but at the end of the day, nobody but you is going to execute on those things. You have to understand that. Execution, doing and constantly doing and doing and doing for a long period of time. Honestly, another thing that I want to mention here is that you have to understand that longevity is a key factor in making money and building an empire. Every successful person that I have met has spent probably 10, 20, 30, maybe even 40 years of their life just grinding and hustling, rising and grinding every single fucking day. No matter what day it is. It's a holiday, so what? You're fucking working. Unless you're spending time with family. And honestly, my only stipulation, me personally, is my family. My family always comes first. In fact, my trainer recently, we were talking about, the level of importance of the things that matter in my life. And my family is first, my business is second, and my health is third. And honestly, that's how I try to approach it. And that's what I want you to understand, is that you can make more money, build that empire, but you need to change yourself completely. You need to have a 360 epiphany overnight and start doing the things that you probably haven't been doing if you want to get to that point. Look, guys and gals, I have one favor to ask from you. If you feel that I've given you some value in this podcast, some perspective, helped you make a change in your personal life or business, I would greatly appreciate it if you share this podcast with someone else. I'm not selling you anything or forcing you to buy shit you don't want. I'm simply asking you to share this podcast with other entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to make a change in their life and business. Of course, if you enjoyed the podcast and you keep coming back, it would mean the world to me if you shared a review on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, or anywhere out there in the stratosphere, wherever you're listening to this particular podcast. It will help others and other like-minded folks know about the nature of content and value that I share on this podcast and give them a reason to listen. Ultimately, that is why I do this podcast, because I'm wanting to share with you guys advice, tips, insights, and of course, my own personal experiences on things that have worked and haven't worked. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, I'm always looking for sponsors. Please email me at ivan@razorsharpdigital.com. You can also find me on Messenger, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And with that being said, remember, whatever you do, that's right. Never stop trying. Peace out. I love you all. Until next time. Bye-bye.